Welcome back, everyone, to A Gentleman's Life. Sam here once again, and doing another quick video this afternoon. It's a bit of a gray day here in Germany, so I'm having a nice afternoon coffee, either before I take a nap, before I go to work, or maybe I'll just make dinner and not bother with a nap. I love sleep, but sometimes it just doesn't work. And today I am wearing the vintage Seiko, the 6105. I'm going to do a video sometime in the next couple months about this, given the story of the watch. Great vintage watch for generally reasonable prices. Also, it's a 44 millimeter in diameter watch, but it fits on even small or large sized wrists very well. So you can see there on my 6.5 to 6 3/4 inch wrist, or 17 to 17.5 centimeters, that it sits really nice to the wrist. That cushion case really fits well. So anyways, on to the video response. This is a video that Stuart Lomas made earlier in the day called Buying a Watch and Money Management. So that's kind of what I'm doing a response to, because I had a lot of ideas and I thought it'd be easier just to do a video response than try to actually type up a comment. So really, to start out, Stuart, I have to agree, that pretty much with most of the stuff you say, really. Talking about whether it's okay or right to make a big watch purchase on a credit card, and maybe some people feel an irrational need to just have something this instant and are willing to pay more for it. I consider that irrational. Don't get me wrong, I'm not a patient person, but if it means waiting 6 months, I can wait 6 months. Also, it may depend on the state of your collection. I'm at a point where I don't feel a need to constantly add lots of new things. I mean, I'll buy, like, I have a cheap incoming watch right now, but it's not like a part of my core collection, if you will. It's just kind of a fun, random, off-the-wall thing I decided to purchase. So that doesn't cost me. A couple $100 is nothing, so that's a bit different. But for the big watch purchases is what we're really talking about here. The $2,000, $3,000, $4,000, $6,000, $8,000 watches. Is it okay to put those on credit? And I would generally say no, I would not do that. However, a great example is I put my Zenith on a card, but I have two cards. One is 0% interest, which is where the Zenith got put. So with that 0% interest card, in that kind of situation, I'm completely comfortable putting a large purchase on there, knowing that I can pay that off in the next 6 months or so. Because you're not getting charged interest, and especially if it's something a bit older or vintage or not made anymore, you never know when the next piece that you might feel like purchasing will come up. So in that case, I'm okay with that sort of thing. Or, the next two big watches I want to purchase are really the Rolex GMT Master and the Omega Speedmaster Man on the Moon. So, if I get to the point where I want to get one of those and I have maybe half the money saved up, but I know that in the next 6 months I can pay off the rest, then I'll put, maybe on the credit, immediately pay half of it off, and then pay the rest of it off in the next, over the next 6 months. And with that 0% interest situation, you can do something like that, and it's not going to burn you. And the other card is essentially not anything related to watches. It's a card that earns points. I have a good credit score, so it's still pretty low interest for a credit card, but that's still high interest. And I'll use that for things like, petrol for the car, oil changes, those sorts of things where you just pay it off every month and never ever incur interest, essentially. But you still earn your points that way. So that's kind of how I utilize them. But then to explain my general thoughts on credit. And generally, I have to say, when it comes to debt, I'm not a fan. I'm about halfway in between 29 and 30. And I spent the first half of my 20s essentially digging myself out of a hole I made for myself, which taught me how to manage my money. And I'm glad I learned that in my early 20s and not in my 30s. And, because of that, like right now, I have some savings and investments I'm doing to try to make enough money and save and gain enough interest to, you know, buy whenever I have to buy my next car, whether it's 4 years from now or 8 years from now, to buy my next car in cash and not have to take a loan out for it. Unless it's like a 0 or like less than 1%, you know, interest rate on the car loan. If there's a deal like that going on, then I'll take the loan out and keep earning interest on my money instead. It makes more sense. But, you know, I may be 5 or 6 years away from wanting to get a new car, and at this point I've already got, you know, $5,000 or $6,000 saved up for that purpose. Now that could be stuff I could just say, forget this, I'm going to use this money to buy something I want for myself and take a loan out on my car, but then I'm paying interest on the car. And anytime you're paying interest on anything, you're essentially giving up extra money. Whereas if you're saving and you have the money in places where it earns you interest, you're essentially making money just by having money. And that's how I consider savings. You know, I pretty much save for retirement and big purchases, whether it's house or car or a nice watch or whatever it happens to be. Those are the things I save for. So if I, you know, am able to, over a course of, you know, 4 or 5 years, save, you know, I don't know, $10,000 to $20,000, that means I can buy a car in cash, I can buy myself a nice watch, I have money to put towards buying property. But the whole time that money's there, it's earning me more money. So either I can buy a nicer car, or I can have money left over to have there to start my savings again for the next big purchase. And that's really, I think, the key to think about is, do you want something bad enough to pay extra for it? Or would you rather save, and even if you only save up half of the cost for it, if you're saving for 2 years for, let's say I save 2 years for a Rolex GMT Master. They cost, you know, I could probably get one new or lightly used for, you know, $7,000 to $9,000. Well, let's say over 2 years I can save $4,000. That $4,000 is probably not $4,000. It's probably $4,500. So that's a free $500 I can put towards that watch that I wouldn't have had beforehand. Whereas if I put all of that money, that whole $8,000 in debt to buy that watch, now I'm probably paying $10,000 or $11,000 for the watch instead of $8,000. So that's how I consider it when I look at big purchases. And unless there's an incentive to put it on credit, hence the 0% card, or something like that, I generally would strongly advocate not to do that. But there's always reasons and ways to do that, and it's going to vary person to person. But that's generally my policy. So just really enjoyed the video, Stuart. I thought you were bang on with your thoughts, and I thought it was a really good topic to cover. Any of my viewers who haven't watched Stuart's video, go ahead and watch that as well. If you have any thoughts of your own on the topic, make a video response. Leave me some thoughts in the comments below. And let me know what you think. Thanks for watching. Until next time.